class where we are going to talk about Rabindranath Tagore's What is Art? Whereas art has got a different perspective altogether from the Eastern point of view. The East teaches us to look at the bigger picture of life. Looking at the bark of the tree, we are missing the tree itself. Looking at the wheel of the chariot, we are missing the chariot itself. Looking at the small pieces of literature or art, we are missing the bigger picture of art. So let us not define art by the question of reason of its existence. Look at this picture. This is the bigger picture is that it is an elephant, but if you catch each part of it, the trunk looks like a serpent. The legs look like walls. The ears look like fans, right? And the entire body looks like a wall. So many people must have given different examples and different explanations to the same thing. All are true, but nobody is able to tell. These six blind men, this is a typical story of the six blind men, where these six blind men, one catches a tail and he says that it is a rope, the other catches the trunk and he says it is a snake, the third catches the tusk and he says that it is an arrow, the fourth catches the ear and he says it is a fan, the sixth catches the body and he says that it is a wall, and the sixth person catches the legs and he says that it is a tree. All of them are right. But don't you think that these right six people are absolutely wrong in the sense that they could not identify this as an elephant? This is what is important, and the East teaches us always to look at the bigger picture of life and living. So, Indian art is the creation of art should not be judged according to their fitness of universality, philosophical interpretations of life, their usefulness in solving problems of life and day, giving expressions to the genius of the artist and the people. Because many intends to fix to the standard value in art by something which is not intended in it at all. The excellence of a river is judged by the point of view of a flowing canal. And that's why you could find every smaller thing in life, may it be a leaf, may it be a plant, may it be an animal, may it be a mountain, may it be even sun and moon, may it be rivers, may it be oceans. Everything has been given a greater picture and is described aesthetically appealing. The picture that is there in the extreme right is the picture of the cow, where they have seen all the 33 crore devtas sitting into it. These devas, in fact, are not exactly the gods or demigods, but they are the powers that the cow has. So, Indian art exactly tries to identify the divinity in everything. That's why we have a Go Mata, Ganga Mata, Saraswati Mata. All these divinity has been given to every part of nature, and this is what has been reflected in art. A definition of a thing is possible for which it has a life and limiting one's vision to see clearly. But clarity to see the truth is not necessarily the only and the most important aspect of truth. For example, a bull's eye view is a clear view but not a complete view. To know a wheel in motion, we need to know all the spokes. Its shape and movement are enough. So, the definition of art, as Rabindranath Tagore says, is the reason of existence. Art owes its origin to some social purpose. The needs of our catering to our aesthetic enjoyment are not the definitions for art, according to Tagore. So let us not define art because of the reason of existence, because of the art owes its origin to some social purpose, or because of the needs of our catering to our aesthetic enjoyment. That it has come out from some impulse of expression, which is the source of our own being, are the wrong ways of defining art, according to Rabindranath Tagore. What should be the right way then? The Western art, if you observe, is of two types, as we know, art for art's sake and art for life's sake. Art for art's sake is the enjoyment as an end in itself. Puritans consider this as a sin, though. And art for life's sake is enjoyment to teach morals and values, pragmatic approaches there. Whereas Eastern art is very different from art for art's sake and art for life's sake. When a man tries to thwart himself in his desire for delight By converting it merely to know or to do good, the power of feeling delight is lost. And hence, Indian rhetoricians opine enjoyment is the soul of literature. The enjoyment is disinterested way of enjoyment, not involving into that, but disinterestedly. If you look at a comparative account of man and animal, animal is bound between the limits of necessities of food, sleep, shelter, procreation, whereas man earns a great deal than what he is compelled to spend. Yes or no? Animal knowledge is spent to know the surroundings, the dwelling, the food, adaptation to the environmental challenges, and so on. Whereas man strives for knowledge not to love but for knowledge itself. A pure enjoyment of knowledge because of knowledge is freedom. Upon this fund of surplus, science and philosophy thrive, don't you think? Similarly, the altruism of parenthood and togetherness, for example, a beehive or a herd of sheep for the preservation of the species, is been observed in animals. But man needs to good as it preserves his race, but goes far beyond that. Goodness for the sake of goodness. This is where the ethics and morals come into existence. I don't think this can be applied to animal. And so when man creates the art, all these are reflected. Similarly, animal has the expression of emotions of anger, fear, love. It's a must. It's under compulsion. Animal lives under compulsion. Whereas man, the expression of emotions like anger, fear, love is a necessity and has beyond. He can control it as well. An animal cannot, but a man can. Decisively use, instinctively not. These emotions have gone beyond their bounds of usefulness. A tiger is a tiger is a tiger is a tiger. A snake is a snake is a snake is a snake in all situations, excepting in the stories like Panchatantra or the fables. We don't expect these animals to think and talk. But man, they are still rooted in their original purpose and have gone beyond self preservation. These emotions are according to the basic needs of the animal, whereas the surplus seeks its expression in the creation of arts. For example, a warrior fights, and with music or poetry or painting, his expression is heightened consciousness of the warrior in him. A religious person, the splendor of temple and the richness of ceremonies has been observed. All these you cannot apply to animal, and these are reflected in art. Similarly, when you have a comparative account of science and art, in science, man is a knower, is not fully himself. Whereas in art, creative forces within him are active. In science, he collects information of himself and his surroundings. Whereas in art, he transmutes things into our living structure. Science can be physical, chemical, mathematical, biological, astronomical, environmental, and is completely the outside world. Whereas art is emotional forces of the personality inside world as well as the outside world. So he does both. That's what is observed in these romantic poets like Wordsworth. Wordsworth describes daffodils and his observation of nature. And immediately in the sestet he goes, whenever I am in pensive mood, I look inside, and this beautiful sight outside fills my inner life also with happiness, is what he says. So he combines the inside world and outside world, whereas science always is the outside world, which works through logic and reason, whereas the world of art works with the five senses of the mind. Accordingly, the personality has been developed. When we ask the questions, what are the contents of this personality and how is it related to the outside world, the outer world appears to us in the individual and not as a bundle of invisible forces. Yes or no? The outer world is understood by us through the five senses of the mind. And man's world is equal to the physical world, the chemical world, and the perceptual world, obviously. This is still a partial view. It becomes ours with the range of our emotions attached to it. As long as we are observing the outer world with these sense organs and trying to understand, we are scientists. But once our subjectivity enters into it and mingles with it, like as long as we are observing the sunset and sunrise, they are all the scientific things that are happening in the world. We are scientists. But the moment we say that the sunset gives me happiness or sunrise gives me, pleasure and bliss, I'm attaching my subjectivity into it, and all those expressions will become artistic. The world plus our emotions is equal to our personality, and this is very beautifully expressed in art in the appropriate way. With our love, hate, pleasure, pain, fear, and wonder working on the world, this world becomes ours as a part of our personality. It grows with our growth, it changes with our change. And if there is no world, there is no personality also. If there are no emotions attached, there is no personality also. So you require the world and you also require your emotions. If you are just describing the world, you are becoming science and scientific, and you're becoming a scientist. Whereas you're observing this and you're applying your emotions also into it, that is, you're putting your personality also into it, obviously, it becomes a sort of your own personality and your own reflections. Our emotions are the gastric juices which transform this world of appearance. And the outer world also has its juices which excite our emotional activities. So at once Rabindranath Tagore is talking in a romantic way and also the individualistic way. All right. The outer have their responses in the inner juices of the emotions to produce rasa. So a poem is the outer juice, a stimulant. Our inner juices of emotions, which are the responses of it in the form of bhavas or feelings. So outer garden is there, and the inner experience of the garden, when combined together and expressed together, obviously becomes art. Our stuff of nature is both be together, ready to be made into life. And so the Upanishadic saying also goes as the bare information is not literature. Just describing whatever is there you see in nature is not literature because it is independent of ourselves. There is no me in it. The sunrise, the rainbow, the seasons are definitely beautiful, whether you write about it or not. They are beautiful and they are external. But all these, along with our emotions, becomes eternally beautiful. And that's why we read Kalidasa. That's why we read Shakespeare. That's why Milton is very appealing. Wordsworth is appealing. Or maybe the Romantics are appealing. The Upanishadic saying is, wealth is dear to us not because we desire the fact of wealth itself, but because we desire ourselves. When that wealth is useful for us, the wealth has got a meaning. Otherwise, money as such doesn't have any meaning. We feel ourselves in our wealth, and so we love it. So the things that arise, our own emotions, feelings, arouse our own self-feeling. For example, the touch of a harp string. It's just a sound. You listen to it. It becomes music when consciousness and awareness is intensified. That is complete involvement in it. And the artist plays, then you really start becoming one with it and enjoying it. Otherwise, there is no beauty, there is no art in the instrument itself. Once the instrument is played by a man with consciousness, with awareness he plays, a particular raga, a particular notes of, music into it, then it becomes a complete song and we love it and we say, wow. In science, this element of personality is missing. It is removed. We must merely know it and put it aside. In art, we must know it and feel it, and thereby we feel ourselves. How to express this personality which we know? By feeling. A scientist does this by cutting, experimenting, and by analysis. So, three things he does: one is cutting, the other is experimenting, and by analysis, which is all external. An artist proceeds not by laws and facts, but deals with taste, which can be realized only tasting it. Say, for example, a rose. A scientist describes it by cutting, experimenting, and analyzing it. An artist deals with the taste, which can be realized by just tasting it. So, art is, for example, a rose. Plainest language to know it: economic, straightforward, objective, and descriptive. A second way of knowing it is figurative language, song and picturesque. Along with describing a rose, we describe ourselves also, an immediate access to our hearts. Our heart is fully awakened in love or any other emotion by reading such type of art. Our personality is in its flood tide, then its longing to express for the sake of expression itself is the true art. We forget the claims of necessity. We forget the thrift of usefulness. And a perfect union of outside and inside is observed in art. Hope you have enjoyed doing Rabindranath Tagore's What is Art with me. His philosophy of life, his spiritualism, his understanding of what art is from the Oriental perspective is really worth appreciating. That's all from me today. See you in the next class. Bye for now. Namaskaram.